Good day, students. Today we are going to cover Jainism, chapter 5. So let me share my screen with you. Jainism is a religion based in India, and it shared similar origins as Hinduism and similar time periods. It's not as well known as Hinduism, but it is a world religion, and people who live in India also move to other areas of the world, and Jainism spreads that way. Three points that I want to make about Jainism as it relates to Hinduism and the Vedic culture. This religion grew up at the same time as the Vedic cultures were disseminated in India, and Jainism rejects the concept of a creator God. The world has always existed. There's certainly change in the world, but there is a sense that there is no creator God within the Jain tradition. The Jain differs from the Vedic culture, from Hindu culture, as it rejects the caste system as well, instituted by Vedic culture. And it also opposed animal sacrifices that were participating in Vedic culture. From the Jain perspective, everything contains a soul, or jiva, J-I-V-A. So that is the concept there, that animals contain a soul. Therefore, it rejects the concept of animal sacrifices as part of the worship or puja within the Hindu tradition. Here are some Jain ideas. We have a picture here of Mahavira. Notice Mahavira is not wearing any clothes. So from the ascetic point of view, even clothing is a material possession. So many of the people denounce clothing in the part of their services to understanding liberation and nirvana. We have the Tirthankaras. They are the leaders or the gurus of the Jain religion. They're similar in respects to bodhisattvas within the Buddha tradition, the Buddhist tradition of bodhisattvas, but they don't interact with human beings. They've already achieved enlightenment or liberation, jina, as it's known, J-I-N-A. Therefore, they're not participating. They're not like gods, where they interact with other human beings or bodhisattvas. Mahavira was the most recent Tirthankara, circa 599 to 527 BCE, and he reached liberation, jina, J-I-N-A. Jina means conquer, so he conquered the material reality and recognized the soul as the universal component of reality. The universe is eternal without the need of a creator, and their idea focuses on the concept of halozoism. All physical matter has life and feelings. That's very similar to pantheism. The Jain ideas are the following. Number one, they're dualistic in nature. They believe in the concept of a soul and matter. So soul is jiva and matter is ajiva. And the purpose is to pursue the freedom of the soul and to discard the bondage of material reality. So we have this image here of jiva as soul in this picture, and jiva as soul consciousness released from matter. As you see, the matter is in the background, the metal, probably copper, and then in the middle is emptiness, or the jiva, the soul. Jiva is the belief that soul exists within humans, within animals, within plants, within rocks, within fire, and also water. Jains fully believe in the concept of nonviolence, or ahimsa. We went over this term a bit in Hinduism. They share terms. Ahimsa means nonviolence. Jains are known to filter their water so as not to harm the minuscule beings that may be in the water. Many Jains also will use brooms to use the brooms to sweep the insects that are in front of them so that they don't do any harm to them as well. The Jains believe in rebirth and karma like Hinduism, and I've already gone over the image there. few more ideas. The Jains believe in the celestial or superhuman beings above the earth. So this is the cosmology of Jain ideas. Uh, these are like perfected beings. They are still bound by karma. They haven't reached the Jina, the conqueror level yet. The highest realm of the universe is the abode of the liberated beings. They do not interact with earth, but serve as role models. So there are these beings, the Tirthankaras, that are above the earth in terms of the cosmology. And so we see in this image here, we have a picture of what looks like a small temple or even a stupa from the Hindu perspective, but this is the cosmology of the realms. And the higher realm is the realm of the universe where the Tirthankaras reside after death. Jains practice meditation and fasting, and you can see here a practice of devotion too, through pujas and circumambulation of the statues and Tirthankaras. So we have a sense of practice here with the pujas. This person on the floor is also reciting some kind of mantras related to the Jain religion. We have 5 principles in Jainism that are very much like the 10 Commandments or the 6 perfections in Hinduism or the Eightfold Path in Buddhism. I said Hinduism, I meant Buddhism. Obviously, nonviolence, we've gone over that. Some Jains, I said before, will sweep in front of them as they walk so as not to harm an insect. Another principle is not lying, not stealing. The biggest principle, though, is non-attachment or non-possession. That's their focus. If you have non-attachment or non-possession, you can reach that state of jina, perfect liberation. Obviously, if you're a monk, you have chastity, or a nun, you have chastity. Otherwise, if you're married, you have sexual restraint. Even if you're single, there's sexual restraint. Do no harm to other beings. The Jain diet is strictly vegetarian. Sometimes Jains might be vegan, but for the most part, they're vegetarian. They will not eat root vegetables. And I love root vegetables, potatoes, onions, and garlic. So I'm thinking, wow, this is going to be rough. But they survive without any problems. The idea of the root vegetable is you'll kill the entire thing the entire plant if you pull up a potato, so to speak. And anything that's born from the ground is considered you might actually kill an animal like an insect or an ant in the process of rooting up the potatoes. Obviously, if they're vegetarian, they do not eat fish, meat, and eggs due to the concept of ahimsa, nonviolence. And plants are seen as containing the least amount of sentience. So a lot of the plants have a least amount of sentience, even though they do have soul. According to a food website, a dinner menu item may be paneer tikka masala with a mango yogurt for dessert. Even with limitations, food can taste exquisite. You need an imagination in order to realize the taste of food. I do want to say a little bit that food is a social construct. According to context or culture, I don't eat certain animals. In the United States, I didn't grow up with certain animals, but in other countries, certain animals are fine to eat. The Young Jains of America website contains an ingredient watch, and you can go there if you will. It's just yja.org. They do not eat chicken broth because it contains chicken broth. They do not eat chicken broth because it's connected to the fat of the chicken. Obviously, gelatin is a little more interesting. It's found in marshmallows and other things, and it's part of animals. So anything related to animal fat, like lard and refried beans, or even eggs and chocolate, or cookies, you have to be careful. There's something called isocysteine in bagels and other baked goods and glycerides That's in cheeses such as Velveeta. So this website gives information to Jains. Be careful with these modern things. I have here a Jain video called Compassionate Cooking. It's simply a person who is, I think, a physician assistant or a nurse, I can't remember. She gives a presentation on tofu scramble and some other things that Jains can't eat. The next term is probably the most controversial term to particularly most religions. It's called Salikana, which means holy death. The Jain may fast, and upon the period when death arrives, stop eating altogether. This concept refers to the separation of matter and jiva, separating one's own human body and soul at the end of life. This process is a symbol of non-attachment and freedom. So the question remains, if you're going to die in 4 weeks, do you stop eating? Do you fast? Do you participate in this salikana as a way to separate yourself from reality? What would you do? Is salikana a noble death? That's a question I ask you all on the discussion forum, and you're welcome to go into detail on that particular option. We have 4 sects in Jainism. Digambaras, everything must be renounced, including the last scrap of clothing and the consequent shame of nakedness. So nakedness is not to be shamed. It's you're supposed to release oneself from material culture. So there we have it. The Shvetambaras differ from the Digambaras. This sect allows women to be nuns. The monks and nuns are dressed in white robes. And we have the Shtanakavasis, 18th century reform of Shiva Shvetambaras. It practices the veneration of the Tirthankaras, including Mahavira. So there's like a worship connection to the Tirthankaras. And it focuses on meditation and not elaborate pujas, but it does have a sense of pujas, small pujas within the Mahavira and the other Tirthankaras. It's devotion to these beings. Then we have the Terapanthas, and I apologize for my pronunciation of these words. That spread Jainism and maintains a hierarchical structure, including a supreme guru, Acharya, as part of the system. This is not the only differences between these systems. Some systems believe that Mahavira was married, some don't. So there are some other differences between these sects. Let's end with some images in Jainism. This is a picture of a Tirthankara, completely naked, completely transformed reality away from clothing, away from material possessions, and exhibiting a sense of jina, or conquer over the physical world, and focusing in on the soul instead. We have here a temple in Jainism. This is an image of a Jain temple in Gujarat, India. Notice the high arches, beams here. I don't even know what to call this, but notice the height of this particular temple. It's very, very pronounced. And we have the dome here, which one would think, well, that sounds like a mosque, or that looks like a mosque. So we do have the dome temple in the Jain tradition. And we have this sort of dome temple in Christian tradition as well, not just the mosque in Islam. Another temple. This is a Jain temple in Jaisalmer, Rajasthan state in India. It's one color, quite beautiful as well, with these wonderful tall things. I don't know what to call them. I need to come up with that name in another lecture. We have here images in Jainism, women attending a Jain festival. These women are probably married, or they're not monks or nuns. The monks or nuns in the Jain tradition tended to either go naked or wear white. And we end with an image of a Jain Sidhu prostrating in front of Jain sage Gomati Sawara. And he is not circular, prostrating. Yeah, prostrating. So that's a little bit about the Jain tradition, the Jain religion. I hope you learned something. And a lot of the terminologies are similar to Hinduism in many ways. And in other ways, they separate themselves from the Hindu tradition and the concept of separate themselves from the concept of the caste system. Thank you for listening. I'm going to stop sharing and end this today.